you're in a good season, ride the wave. And then when a bad season hits, can this help me be better during my next good season? It's okay to complain about it because it does suck. People just assume that trials are temporary. And they're not.
Welcome to the Sick is Cool podcast, the show that's here to empower you, inspire you, and remind you that even in the face of chronic illness, you can lead an extraordinary life. I'm your host, Aimee Esther, and I'm thrilled to have you join our community. I understand the daily struggles, the physical and emotional roller coasters, and the relentless search for purpose and joy amidst it all. Although none of us chose to be a part of the Sick Club, here we are, warriors navigating a world that often doesn't understand us. Together, we are going to build a vibrant and supportive community that celebrates resilience and courage of the chronically ill. Now let's dive into today's episode and start reshaping our perspective on chronic illness.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Sick is Cool podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Esther, and today we're going to complain together because sometimes that's what you need to do when you live chronically ill. The whole point of this podcast is to teach you how to live an amazing life while living chronically ill, and it's okay to complain. It's okay to have times where you find joy in this pain, to have times where you learn something from your pain, but that doesn't make it easy. And that doesn't mean you should never complain. So today we're going to do that together. You may have noticed that most of my episodes recently have been interviews with people, which I love doing. It's one of my favorite things. I'm learning so much from the people that I've been interviewing, and I'm sure you have too. And I'm going to keep doing that. But today I wanted to start a new segment. So there are many people who have reached out to me and said, I want to share my story, but I don't know if I feel comfortable being on camera or being recorded. And so I've decided to start a new segment where we anonymously send in our stories and I will read them, maybe comment on them a little bit, and we'll talk about it together. So the first segment is complaining. We are calling this, what did I call it? It was the Pout Parade. This is the Pout Parade. And we're going to just complain. And we may have another Pout Parade later on in the future, but the next one we are going to do a different topic. So I will still be doing lots of interviews in between, maybe once a month, once every other month. I will do one of these episodes, and I'll just tell you what the next one will be in that episode. If you do want to be interviewed, I am always taking applicants. So please email me. It's aimee.esther.co@gmail.com. I thought about getting like a professional email, but I kind of like that email. So we're going to leave it. Does anybody care? Does it need to be professional? Do you care that I use a Gmail? It's fine. Okay. Anyway, so this one is about complaining. We're going to listen to all your complaints. The next one, if you're interested in sharing your story, will be sharing your worst doctor moments. If you have a story about your worst moment with a doctor, something a doctor said or did, or just an experience in general you've had with doctors that you would like to share, head to the link in the podcast notes or in the description on YouTube to the forum, and you can submit your entry there, and I'll read those on the next episode where we talk about our doctor problems, the problems you've had with your doctor, because it is difficult to have that relationship with the doctor. And each time we have one of these episodes, I'll share what the next topic will be. If you have any topic ideas, let me know in the comments on YouTube or email me. So hopefully that gets all of that out there. One more thing I wanted to mention before we get into today's episode is that I have a new course to teach you how to build your own business if you live chronically ill. So this course is amazing if you have a product you want to sell, or if you don't have a product you want to sell, but you still want to build a business, but you have no idea what to do. This course will help you. So this course is super amazing. It teaches you how to create a digital marketing business from scratch. It takes you step by step. If you don't even know how to get a domain name, how to start a website or an email list, it teaches you all of that. Things that if I would have known when I started my business and started my YouTube channel and started selling my own products, if I would have known this stuff, holy cow, it would have saved me so much time and energy because it literally tells you exactly how to do it. I spent hours and hours and hours trying to figure things out, watching YouTube videos, Googling things, asking people, paying people to do stuff for me because I could not figure out how to do all of these things when I started my business, and I wish I'd had it before. Now, if you're wondering if you already have a business, if this would help you, also yes, because I've taken this course and it's helped me to upscale my business. I've learned so many things. And what's interesting is I didn't actually make the videos in this course. Someone else did. And this is why this course is really amazing. So it has 80 plus modules. You learn so many things about business and digital marketing and how to start your own online business from home. And if you live chronically ill, I just think it's the best job for you because you can do it on your own time when you feel good. And it teaches you how to automate things so that you can make money while you rest. It's just a really incredible program. But what's great about it is I didn't actually make it. I didn't make the videos. I bought the course for $497 and now I'm reselling it to you. And if you buy the course for $497 from me, you then get to resell the course. It's not an MLM. There's no tiers. I don't make any money if you sell the course to people. You buy it for a one-time fee and then you get to sell it for $497 or more. You can choose the price. You can't do it less than $497, but you can sell it for more if you choose. You can add videos to it. All the videos are faceless. And also if you purchase from me, you get to be part of this community that has 5,000 plus other entrepreneurs in it, people who are building businesses just like you, who are some reselling the course, who some are selling their own products and using the information they're learning in this course to sell those products. And you will learn so much. So if you have any questions, someone will answer it for you in the community. That's a lot of information. I know it can sound kind of confusing, kind of scary, but if you have any questions, you can email me at aimee.esther.co@gmail.com so that you can get the Master Resale Rights course and you can start building your business. Hopefully I explained that okay. I'll have to see when I edit this if it even made any sense. If it didn't, of course, send me an email and I'd love to share more. I also have on my Instagram, if you look at my saved stories, there's a section with a $. Click on that. It explains in a lot more detail how the course works and what it teaches you and how you can resell it. It's super, super cool. So I have used it to resell the course. I'm reselling it to you if you would like it, but the person I bought it from doesn't make a penny more off of me. After I bought it from her, she doesn't make any more money. It's not like a tier list, which is super cool. And I use it to learn how to sell my own products that I already have. I have a productivity course for people with chronic illness. A workbook, not a course, productivity workbook. I have a course on how to find joy and meaning and how to manage all of the emotions that come with chronic illness. I have a course on that as well. And I also sell my own coaching where one-on-one I coach people who live chronically ill, and it's just the best thing in the world. I love this, but I do need help finding the people. There are people who need what I have to sell, and that's why I use this course to help find them, help automate things, and help my business grow. And I know that it will help you as well. So everything's linked in the description. And yeah, so let's dive into today's episode and we will start the complaints. So the first complaint we have says, I'm a male who has EDS and the effects of it and a pituitary tumor put me on disability at age 21 back in the 1990s. My complaint is about dating and relationships. I've always wanted a long-term relationship, hopefully leading to marriage. However, the women I've been in relationships with start thinking long-term and break it off, starting something to the effect of believing the man needs to be the breadwinner of the family and that women should stay home with the family or only work part-time. That's their lifestyle preference, and I can respect that. However, are gender roles still this firmly ingrained in society, even after all the progress made since the 1950s? I know how to cook and do other household duties. I'm willing to be supportive of someone who's pursuing a career. I wouldn't be embarrassed or have my ego hurt by being a housewife. But why do social norms make this reversal or traditional gender role seem unacceptable for most people? So something interesting with chronic illness is we do have to reshape the way we thought our lives would be, right? And now I am a mother. I'm a stay-at-home mother. I have my own little business on the side, but I am mainly a mother. And it's something that I've wanted my whole life. And so that part of my life is how I expected. However, motherhood is not going as I expected. I thought I would be a very different mother, a more active mother, all of those things. But I still was able to do kind of the main thing that I wanted to do with my life, with my chronic illnesses. And some of you guys can't, and that sucks. And it sounds like you've worked really hard to feel okay with where you are at and how you can't maybe do things you wanted to do. You found this new path that may be the best path for you, which I love that you've gotten to that mindset, but a lot of people still aren't. And something I've been learning a lot in the past couple of years is that I really want to know my reason for doing stuff. And so often we do things because it's not the norm, or because that's what our parents did, or that's how we did things growing up. And there's a lot of other ways to do things, and they're not always technically the right ways just because that's the way we've been doing them for so long. And it's hard for some people to open their mind to that. However, I do think that things are changing. I think our parents' generation, at least where I'm at, I'm a millennial, and that generation, it was much more like the father works, the mother stays home. And there's just like a structure around families. There was structure around the way we do so many things. And I do think that Gen Z and is it Gen X, Gen Z? I don't know the generations, but the one under me, the younger kids, as well as like my generation, is starting to make a shift to, wait a second, things can change. And so I do think things are changing in a lot of people, but there are some people who still do the norms. They still follow the status quo. They follow what they think they're supposed to do. And that's hard to deal with. But what I want you to remember, my friend, is that there will be women out there that are looking for who you are. And if you don't believe that, you're not going to find them. But if you just know that the person that you want to be with, and that ideal person who wants their husband to stay at home, who wants to be the one that works, they are out there. I know that for a fact. In fact, I have family members who don't follow the norm. The husband stays home, the wife works, and they love it. It works so good for them. And they're happy in that way. And the wife wouldn't be happy staying home with the kids. And that's great for them because they found what works for them. And I think that's what's important, is to remember that there will be someone out there who fits that for you. Even if you haven't seen it yet, I have seen it. And sometimes to believe that, you have to just start with, okay, I know that it's possible to find someone like that, or I know one person like that. I know one person like that. So if you don't, say, I know that Aimee knows one person like that who wants to be the working wife and would like their husband to be home with the family and taking it one step at a time with yourself and giving yourself grace, and know that you will find that person. You will. And I'm glad that you've done a lot of work, it seems like, on yourself with accepting things for you. And now it's just that next step of now knowing that you will find what you need. So keep working on yourself, my friend. You got this. But also it does suck. So you are totally valid in your complaint. All right, the next one says, the most annoying thing would be feeling like a lazy parent. I eat in bed and spend a lot of time in bed throughout the day. I've POTS for 6 years and more in my previous life. Okay, this is a very similar thing, right? And this is kind of like more on what I feel like as well, because I am getting what I want in the sense of like, I wanted to be a stay-at-home parent, so I didn't have to do that work, but I had to do work on being a stay-at-home parent is not the way that I thought it would be. Being, quote, lazy, which I know you're not. And I know, like, logically, you know you're not, but there's still that emotional part of you that's like, has a hard time letting that go. It feels like, oh, I should be doing more. I should be doing what they do. But something I learned that has really helped me, and I've worked a lot with myself and my clients on, is that we have these manuals we set up for ourselves. So think of like a manual you get for a toaster. It tells you how to use the toaster, what to put in it. Don't put a pizza in your toaster. It's not going to work, right? A manual tells you, here's the things you can put in, here's how you use it, and it tells you exactly how to do it. Now we have these manuals in our head for how like a mom should be, how a husband should be. And other people have these manuals for us too. And I, for so long, was like, this is the manual on how to be a good mom. You take your kids out, you put them in preschools, you teach them more, they play outside a lot, they learn their ABCs. Like, there's all these things that I'm like, this is a manual in how to be a good mom. And I've had to actively change my manual. A good mom does not mean that you take your kid to the park. That does not have to be in my manual, because I can still be a good mom if I'm home all the time with my kids. And now I have this new manual that I've set up for myself, which is going to be different than the manual you set up for yourself in your parenting. And I get to choose what that is. I don't have to follow the exact instructions that everybody has told me and society has told you and that social media has told you makes a good mom. You or dad, sorry. Did not mean to exclude there. You get to decide what your manual is, whether it's parenting or marriage or whatever. And we need to do this for others as well. Like, I have a manual that I thought this is what a good husband should do. And when my husband doesn't lead up to that and he does things differently, then I am upset at him. When instead it's like, wait a second, he's actually doing some amazing things. I just was missing them because I was trying to follow my manual. Does that make sense? Hopefully that analogy makes sense. I just found out I have ADHD, and so now it makes sense why I feel like I word vomit and it just comes out, and I don't know if any of it actually sticks or the words that are in my mind get jumbled and they may not actually come out right. So hopefully that analogy made sense. Okay, next. I hate my fragrance allergy so much. I have anaphylactic episodes if I'm exposed to the slightest fragrance. Fragrances include washing powder, shampoos, air fresheners, deodorant, perfume, cologne, body wash, hand wash, soap, essential oils, flowers, shampoos, conditioners, etc. I get items on skin, fabric, and clothes so easily, and it spreads and hangs on like a disease. I'm housebound because of it, and I'm unable to find disability support worker willing to only use my safe products and clothing, so I will go without a lot of my personal needs that I can't do for myself. Not to mention how isolating it is where friends and family care more for fragrance than being around me. I have multiple severe chronic illnesses, and the fragrance allergy limits me from accessing what I need. First of all, I'm so sorry, my friend, for all of these people who have sent these in. It sucks, okay? And if I try to offer something to support and lift up, you don't have to accept it. You can just say, I was just here to complain. I don't need any help. And that is valid too, because sometimes we don't want people to fix it. A few thoughts on this. First of all, can I just say that fragrance is so bad for us? I saw an Instagram post that said, like, it used to be that secondhand smoke was like, I don't remember, what would you call it? Just like the thing plaguing our world. And now it's fragrances, and they're just everywhere, and they're so bad for us. I follow Just Ingredients, which hopefully most of you follow. If you don't, you should, on Instagram. And it's just made me rethink all of the things I put on my body and in my body and I give to my kids. And fragrances, they're in everything. It doesn't make any sense. Why do we need fragrance in our dish soap? We don't need it. I don't want my dishes tasting like soap. That's disgusting. Why do we need fragrance in our hand soaps and colors and like all this stuff that is so terrible for us? That's my first thing. But this is different. That is like, in general, for everyone, we should avoid fragrances. But on this level, it's an allergy. It's not just, they are bad for us, but this is a extreme version of the dangers of fragrances. And this person can't even be touched or be around people who use these fragrances. And I just think it's so sad that people can't respect that. I have noticed in my own life that at the beginning, or like right when someone finds out, they're super understanding and they're like, oh yeah, I'll be careful with whatever, and whatever it is that you're sensitive to, and I'll understand and adapt things for you. And then like the longer time goes on that I deal with things, it's like they slowly forget. They slowly care less. And it's so hard to deal with. The one thing I will say is to keep going, to keep reminding people, even if you have to remind them 200 times. Because even though it is annoying and you want people to remember and like, why are you not? They're not going through it, so they don't know. So what I like to think in these situations is like, I am going to be the one who remembers. I am going to be the one who cares. And because I care and because I remember what I need and I am making the extra effort, then it's okay that they are falling short. Now, if that means, I'm sorry you can't come over, we have to set boundaries because you're not following what I need, then that's a boundary we have to set, which it does suck when you're not able to get what you need, when you're not able to have the help that would be very, very useful when you struggle with so many pains and illnesses. But setting those boundaries can help remind people sometimes that you are actually that sick, that you actually do need that much attention and that much care for people using fragrances. It's not just in your head. It's not just a little thing. It affects you so much. And so I like to just remember that like it's me that's going to be the one that shows up. It's me that's going to be the one that remembers, and it's me that's going to be the one that cares because no one else is doing it. And that sucks. Again, like I know it sucks. I don't want it to be that way. I want other people to show up for you. But when they don't, you have to show up for yourself. And I wish that I had the answer. I wish that I could stop people from doing this immediately. But just remember that you will be there for you. All right. The next one, I have systematic mastocytosis. Did I say that right? And so I have severe food allergies. I have 6 safe foods that need to be brought from a certain place on a certain day and prepared in a certain way, or I'll have anaphylaxis. There's no time off and no room for error. This is very similar, right? I mean, it's also anaphylaxis. It's like allergy, severe allergies. And it's the same thing. Like you got to show up for you. And that sucks. I want people to show up for you. I want people to be the ones that will do it and not have any errors and be on time. And they can't. They can't do it because, first of all, they don't know what it's like. They don't know how severe it is. They don't know what it feels like emotionally and physically to deal with what you're going through. It is exhausting. It's so exhausting. And you need to give yourself grace that it's exhausting and remind yourself, like, this is hard. It's okay to complain about it because it does suck and it's okay. And then we can find ways to find more joy in this, to find, the silver lining in this and all of that when you're ready. But I want to start with most people who are sending these in with giving yourself grace that this is a really hard thing to deal with. Okay, next I have ADHD. I just got diagnosed with ADHD, my friend. So we're in this together and it makes my whole world make sense. I just feel like I can function. No, that didn't make sense. No, I don't feel like I can function. I feel like I know why I can't function. Okay. And chronic fatigue syndrome. And they are constantly at war inside me. I have a racing brain and a body that wants to move so badly. Oh, my friend, I feel you. But I am bedbound with fatigue 20 to 24 hours a day. It impacts every area of my life every minute. And yes, I'm treated for ADHD and CFS has not improved in over a decade, despite my best efforts. That is a battle. Let me tell you, I am there. And I didn't know I had ADHD until literally this week. And so I just thought it was normal to have such an intense burning desire to move constantly and like feel like you're going crazy. You can't rest. It is so difficult. One thing that I have found helpful for me is to try to find stuff that I can do when I am in that terrible place physically and find stuff that I can do when I'm in that terrible place mentally. And I have to decide which one's worse, right? So I have things that I do for when I'm mentally in a really bad space, even if it makes me more sick physically, but that one is stronger in that moment. And then there's other times where it's stronger in the chronic fatigue. and I have to decide which one is pulling me stronger right now, because they're both pulling me, but sometimes I have to literally like just move more, even though I'm chronically fatigued and I'm feeling so ill, because my brain is going so crazy that I can't even handle it. And I'd rather be in more pain and I'd rather be more fatigued because my brain is going crazy. And then sometimes I need to pull the other way, and it's a balancing act. And I haven't found the perfect balance. But again, give yourself grace that this sucks and it's hard. And I also have found one more tip is that, like, if I'm so fatigued, but like my brain is racing, doing something educational, at least for me, helps. And maybe that doesn't help for you. I don't know what your brain is like, but for me, like learning something, it almost like tricks my brain into doing something, if that makes sense. Like I might watch a show, but if I'm watching something more educational, like a documentary, or I'm like more active in talking with my husband while we're watching, or like trying to improve my life in some way while I'm watching, for some reason that helps a little bit. It doesn't solve the problem. I still wish I could go do other things, and I just want to move, and I have a million things on my list, but it helps a little bit sometimes. Okay, next, it's very annoying to always get behind in everything. Not able to function normally, not able to support my own child like needed. I always have to depend on others. I have to find a way to get better by myself. I had to fight for my right to get well on my own pace. I always break down so easily. Roller coaster feeling is tiring. Then I can to something and almost feel like a normal person. It begins again. I'm tired to call myself sick. Okay, I think that sentence may have been a typo. I have 2 child with special needs. One of them already lives by himself. Daughter still needs me, but she is a teenager and everything with her gets so hard. I have to force my husband to raise her most of the time because I can't stay calm. It's annoying. Then close people don't believe me. It's annoying, often say I can't. I do everything little by little. Most annoying is crying almost over everything and constant anxiety. Okay, I feel this because my emotions, and again, I just found out ADHD, which kind of makes sense. I feel like I have a hard time like handling my emotions, and I've dealt a lot with that through coaching and some of the things I teach in my course, where I just let myself cry. I don't tell myself I shouldn't. I don't tell myself, oh, Aimee, you shouldn't cry again. You cried yesterday. I'm like, no, I'm sad. I'm mourning this loss I have of my old life, or I'm mourning this loss of the life I thought I would be as a mother, or the things I thought I could do that I can't. I'm going to cry about that. The other day, my husband took my daughter to a water park, and he said he looked around and saw couples everywhere. And he was so sad that wasn't our story, that I used to be the one that was active and fun and wanting to go out. And he couldn't take me to the water park because of how ill I am. That would just put me out for days, and I would be miserable the whole time I'm there. And he just had to like mourn that. And then hearing him say that made me sad, because then it's like, I want to be there for him. I want to do those things. I want to be that kind of wife. And I just have to let myself feel the feelings. Like if we don't let ourselves cry or feel anxiety, it's going to build. Trust me. Like when I feel anxious, which I do a lot, and I've worked through a lot through therapy and coaching and things, I used to not be able to sleep. But now I feel anxiety, and I tell myself, of course I feel anxiety right now. You know, I was triggered in this way, or this is coming up again, this same struggle that I've had for years, and I'm sad, and that sucks. I just have to let those emotions out and stop telling myself that I should be strong and that I'm going to be fine. That's why we're doing this. It's okay to complain. It's okay to cry. You do not have to be strong. You don't have to, it's okay that you're sad that you can't take care of your daughter like you want to. Of course you would be. You should be. I think anybody in that situation would. And you need to give yourself more grace. Okay. I have been chronically ill for 27 years after having EBV as a senior in high school. I have CFS, POTS, fibromyalgia, and recently I don't even know if I can read this, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. I feel forgotten, misunderstood, unsupported by my friends and family. Again, this is something we need to work on, as I'm seeing like all the things that come up, is allowing ourselves to be sad. Oh, this one keeps going. Let's read more. The last time I did anything with a friend was in October of 2019, and my husband and I had lunch with a girlfriend and her family. She has since passed away, and I don't even know how to meet new friends. I work from home. I'm not able to drive much or go to church or events due to sensory sensitivities. Often reached out by others, but they didn't reciprocate or want to do more than text. I would love to have one in real life bestie that I could share life with. A while back, my cousin came over for a visit out of state and stayed with my mom. I hadn't seen her in years. A bunch of my family went out to eat, and didn't even tell me. Later, when I asked my mom why they didn't invite me, she said she didn't even think about it. My own mother forgot to invite me, her only child, to a family dinner. That really hurts. Yeah, it does. And I don't have any suggestions on how to feel good about this because it sucks, my friend. Like, it's hard to do chronic illness, but it's harder to do it alone. And as much as I want to teach you how to believe that you can make friends and that you can have a good relationship with your family and that you can take care of you when other people aren't, which we have mentioned today on the podcast, that is an option for you. But if you don't first remind yourself that it's okay to mourn the loss of having friends and mourn the life you thought you would live, then you're never going to be able to get there. So step 1, allow yourself to feel all the feelings. And then step 2, which could be years away. We are in no rush to get to step 2, but step 2 is to take care of you and have your back. When people don't call you to hang out, you call them. You keep pushing until you find that friend. You stand up for yourself when others don't do it. And if you're listening to that and you're like, yeah, but people should show up, then you haven't done step 1 yet. You haven't been okay with not having friends. You haven't been okay with being sad that you don't have friends. You got to allow that part first, and then you can move on to the next. And if you need help with that, I do life coaching, and I have talked with many people about friendships and family member. That's one of the main topics we do. So link in the description if you need extra help, especially with step 2. But I think most of us are still on step 1. Okay. I live with POTS, MACA or mast cell activation syndrome, POTS, endo, IR, I don't know what IR is, and a lot more. There are so many things that are annoying that I could talk about, but the one thing that has been the most frustrating is when people don't understand that you won't get better. You can most certainly find ways to adjust the way you live to help you, but I don't know how to get across to them that this is a chronic illness that I will live with, in all caps, for the rest of my life. I just recently started a new medication, and someone came up to me and asked, "Are you all better now?" Or, "Are you back to normal life now?" And all I want to do is scream. Yes, medication is helping me in a lot of ways, but it didn't magically cure me. I just say as nicely as I can, some days are better than others, but I live with a chronic illness and I will constantly have symptoms. And again, I will have to live with this for the rest of my life. And then they go down the road of, do you think you're seeing the right doctors? Have you tried this? Is this really that bad? And all I have to say is, yes, I am seeing the right doctors. I fully trust my doctors to give me the care I need. And yes, I've tried all that, but thank you for trying to help. And yes, it is that bad, and I'm not making these things up. Oh my, I could go on forever. But it is seriously so hard sometimes to explain to someone why you can't do this, but you can't, or you can do this, but you can't do that. And to get across to them that you actually feel bad and are living with a chronic illness. Oh my goodness. I'm laughing because I literally feel this so hard. This is one of the struggles I've been thinking about so much lately, is how people think that just because you were sick last week, that doesn't mean you're still sick now. I was teaching in church, and I called in and said, I can't teach this week in my church calling. And the next week, they came to me and said, so will you be good to teach next week? And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? I don't know. And that's what's so frustrating is people think like, oh, now you're better. Or if they see me looking better, they're like, now you're better for good. And it is so frustrating. And this comes back to standing up for you, like being there for you. You have to be the one to remember, and you have to be the one, not that you're going to forget, but like other people will forget. And when we expect them to forget because they're not feeling it, they're not there, they don't know what it's like. And we need to remind ourselves constantly of that like, I'm going to show up for me, and I'm going to be the one who remembers and tells everyone and reminds them that I'm still sick, because I promise you they will forget. They will every time. Now, people do get like compassion fatigue. They get tired of like feeling compassion for people who are constantly sick, which is a thing. But I also think people just assume that trials are temporary, and they're not. And even me, who's like, I have had a time where I was deeply depressed, like so miserable with my chronic illness. And then now I would say I'm in a better place mentally, and overall I feel better. Like I feel like I'm in a better space, but physically I'm just as bad, if not worse than I was years ago. And so part of me is like, yes, I'm better than I was a few years ago. But then a part of me is like, but no, I'm not, because then people take that the wrong way, right? And when you're sick one day and then the next day you're like, oh, how are you feeling today? And if you say, I'm feeling better, they assume that then that's like forever. Like the next day you're also going to be feeling better, when in an hour you might feel worse again. It's heavy emotionally for me, this topic. And I know a lot of you listening are probably feeling that too. Like if I give any advice, you're like, yeah, but this is really hard. But yeah, Aimee, you don't know this about this situation. And that's what it feels like. It's so heavy emotionally. And that's why I think it's helpful to have someone on the outside, like a life coach or a therapist, or even just a friend to talk to about these things, because sometimes just getting it out helps. And like, just, I don't want any advice. I don't want to hear anything. I just want to get it out. And other times you're like, I want to make progress in this area of my life. I want to stop feeling this crappy. I want to be able to get out of this emotional dump I'm in. Then there are people that will be there to help you through that. But yeah, I feel this one very deeply, and it's something I'm working on myself. So hopefully I will find the answers for you soon. If I do, I will share them. But right now we are in it deep as well. People just do not get it, and they think that you're going to be better, or sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent. Or it's like, it feels like, oh, they think it's my fault because I'm still ill. Like they're like, oh, but you haven't tried doing this diet. And it's like, you're acting like it's my fault that I'm still ill. No, it's not my fault. I'm just sick all the time. Okay. I could just go off on that for hours and hours. Okay. I have POTS, CFS, fibromyalgia. One thing that is really hard for me is the ups and downs due to my cycle and season changes. It seems like whenever I get in a good routine, I feel like I have things figured out a bit. I start to feel better, and then another season comes and throws me off. This is very difficult because there's so many seasons in our life. Like I have a baby. I'm on my third baby. She's about to turn 1. And if you've ever had a baby, you know what it's like. Like every couple of weeks, there's something new. And the older they get, the longer the seasons seem to last. But it's like you finally think you've figured things out, and then someone gets sick, and then you finally think you figured things out, and then like their nap schedule changes. Like it's always like that. And then on top of it, when I have the chronic illness seasons where it's like I'm going through the baby seasons with my kids and my family, and the normal life seasons, like even if you don't have kids, there's normal seasons in life. Maybe you're in school, or maybe you're trying to get a job, or like there's just so many seasons that happen, right? And then you have the seasons with your illness, which come and go. And sometimes you expect them. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's my period. Of course, I'm going to have this season. And that's usually what I like to think in those, is be like, yep, it's here. This is the time where I feel extra ill, or it's a season change. This is the time where I feel extra ill. Let's do this. But then sometimes it's so out of nowhere, and you're like, I feel like I'm eating right, I'm exercising right, I am resting right, I'm taking the right medications and supplements, and I'm doing all the things, and yet I'm flaring, and what the heck, you know? And I find that with like creating content online is I'm like, oh, I'm finally in the groove. I'm finally ahead. I'm finally in a system that works for me and I'm getting content out and I'm going to just keep this up. And now I can like schedule stuff because I've gotten the groove of things. And then I have a flare and I'm like, I can't work for 2 weeks. And it's just so frustrating. When you're in a good season, ride the wave. And then when a bad season hits, I like to look at it as like, can this help me be better during my next good season? What can I do now during the bad season that will actually make the next season better? Because sometimes like I have such a bad season that then when I just have a little bit of improvement, I'm like, holy cow, life is so much better. But it wouldn't have felt that way had I not gone through such a bad time. Does that make sense? Like before I found my compression socks to treat my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, I think I would have been annoyed to wear compression socks, but I went through such a hard season of not wearing them and I was so ill all the time that now wearing them, even though they're kind of annoyance to put on, they don't even bother me because I went through a season where it was so terrible. So when I have a bad season, I have to remind myself like, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we use this to actually make the next season even better? Oh, I didn't finish that one. Fall is particularly challenging, and I'd love to see a video on this and the October slide. I actually don't know if I have the October slide. Maybe. I've never noticed. I should start tracking those things and see. I don't know if like season changes like fall, spring, winter, if I actually feel like a difference in change with that. I don't know. Last year, I spent the first week of October in the hospital. I had, the same thing we talked about earlier. I don't know how to say it. I'm going to say it wrong. Tactusobo cardiomyopathy and vasospasms and caused 2 elevated I am so bad at reading, you guys. Trophins, signs of heart and muscle injury and heart attack. So I am understandably nervous about the fall. Yes. Okay. But the thing to remember is like, yeah, but I know it's coming. Because it's like, if it had come out of nowhere, in a lot of ways, that's harder. So how can we prepare for that? How can we use the time now to prepare ourselves for this time that's coming? That's what I would say. And I don't know if I have an October slide. I seem to do worse in the summer, but I honestly, I don't track things, and I really should, but I blame it on my ADHD because I've tried and I just cannot keep up with tracking things. Okay. Think of the hardest thing is answering. I think the hardest thing is answering the question, how are you? It just feels impossible to answer it honestly and socially appropriate. I could go on and on about this. I know you know what I mean. So I did an episode with my husband and I asked him, how honest should people with chronic illness be? And his answer was, some people are more empathetic than others. And if you have a really empathetic person who has a hard time not like overdoing it, then maybe you don't always tell them 100% the truth. But if someone can like take it and listen and not necessarily have to do something every time and like puts things on themselves, then being honest is great. And so I've thought about this a lot since we had that conversation. And here's what I've decided. 100% honesty is the right move. So if, for example, my husband, I'm telling him every day, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, I don't feel good. Well, what if I was 100% honest and I was like, today, this is exactly what happened that made today hard. And I don't need you to fix it today. Today, I think mentally I'm strong enough to do it, but also I had this pain in my legs that was excruciating earlier, and now I feel like I can manage it. And really what I want from you is just to listen and talk to me. And I'm 100% honest with him. Maybe sometimes my 100% honesty is like, I am sick and I can't handle this emotionally and I'm spiraling and I need you to take as much as you can on today with the housework and the kids because I just can't do it. Because when we are 100% honest, then our partner and our family don't have to guess. Because if they have to guess, they're going to either assume you're better than you are and not help, or if they're a very empathetic person, someone who's like always trying to do things for other people, it's kind of like my personality. If I was helping someone, I'm like, I kind of go overboard, then that person might be always trying to fix it, always trying to make things better and making themselves worse because they are trying to do things too much for you. And on that same note is you need to make sure your partner or friend or family member is 100% honest with you as well. Okay. And what I'm talking about here is those who are with you all the time. If someone, we'll talk about the other people in a minute, but I'm talking like close people who are with you and ask you how you are daily. We need to make sure they feel comfortable sharing 100% how they're feeling. Because sometimes my husband's off work and I'm really ill, but he is struggling, whether it's emotionally or like he just needs like a break or he just doesn't really want to hear me complain. I want him to feel comfortable telling me that as well. So I think creating a space where you can say, I'm going to be 100% honest with you and I want you to be 100% honest with me. And that means I tell you how I'm feeling physically, but also I tell you when I can handle it and when I can't, when I need help and when I don't. And if there's a day where I'm like, I can't handle this, and he shows up 100% honesty too and says, well, I can't take it on, then at least we know. Okay, neither of us are here today. With my husband, we have started doing like a percentage, like how much percentage do we have? Because it's never 50-50. It's always a little off. So some days I might be 90, he's 10. And I'm like, I can take a ton. I'm physically ill, but like I can push myself today and you need to break. Other days I'm 10 and he's 90. Other days it's 60-40, right? And so we give each other a number. And if we're both at 10% that day, we only have 20% to give to our kids. We got to figure something out. Do we need to call grandmas? Do we need to get a babysitter? We need to figure it out, but we can only do that if we both trust each other and can be 100% honest with each other, if that makes sense. So that's what I would say if someone close to you or someone who asks you a lot how you're doing is. For other people, I think it depends. I agree that it's hard with like people at church and like it's so hard to know what to say to friends and people in the community because they don't really get it. And I think you just have to decide what's worth it. Like with the people, when I teach at a church meeting, I need to tell them like more honesty of like, hey, this is my illness. This is what happens. And be very honest with them. When other people, it's like they don't need to know the whole story, right? So I think it just depends. If you have a boss at work, they probably need to know more than the lady at the checkout line at the grocery store, right? So you just need to decide. And yeah, it sucks because people don't get it. We've talked about that a lot today. Okay, I am very ill. Surprise. Also, I wanted to let you know before we go that my merch shirts, I have a few new ones. If you haven't checked them out, this one says, I make a dang good lemonade, and it helps remind me that my life has a lot of lemons in it, but I make really good lemonade. So anyway, don't forget to submit your worst doctor stories, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, my friends. Hey friend, do you find value in this podcast but want to take it to the next level? Work with me one-on-one or check out Chronically Me, the course and workbook. This course takes the things you are learning on the podcast and helps you apply them directly to your life. This course dives deeper into changing your thinking, teaching you how the brain works and how to maximize your life with chronic illness. I designed this course as a companion to the podcast. The podcast gives specific, real-world examples, and the course helps you put them into action. If you want personalized one-on-one help from me, I got you. I also offer individual coaching programs where we can talk about the problems you are facing. I'll help you manage your brain and find solutions to nearly every problem that you have. We will walk hand in hand on this journey together. Check the show notes or the video description on YouTube for more information on getting extra help from me. Talk to you soon.